Who is Kimerik Blaze? I am a singer, songwriter, a music producer. A little background about myself. I've been around music my whole life, and since I was a kid, my dad is a musician. He is a solo artist, and that's kind of how I got introduced to music. However, I did not want to be a musician. I swear I did not want to make music. That was one thing my goal in life was to be a vet, to be a doctor, to be a nurse, to be something that was gratifying and helped people. Not make music. I always felt like music was just, to jam out, to, like a hobby or whatnot. And as a kid, I did not want to do it. So it's interesting now, as I'm older, that I've managed to be a musician and actually really, really love what I do. Just the ability, just to, I've said it before, to create sound, to create something from your mind, and create culture with music. It's just rewarding within itself. So my very first introduction to any kind of instrument was the saxophone. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I was put in band, and teacher was pretty cool. He honestly, all he did was like flute, sax, like X instrument. So I mean, I don't know how he based his theory as what we should play, but I mean, point being is I was to play the saxophone, and so I did. I played sax for maybe about a year. The saxophone it's an amazing instrument. When you're playing it, just like a guitar or everything else, it just speaks to you as you're playing with the sax. It's amazing. I mean, those are the very first memories I remember of me having to or trying an instrument out. Then like I said, my dad's a musician, like I said, so I started to play the keyboard, and the keyboard was easier because it's linear. Like it's a much easier instrument to pick up for a beginner, at least for me. I played for a bit. Like I was a kid, I was like 9 or 8, but never really did much with it. As a kid, I loved the dance music, that synthetic sound. So I remember performing as a kid. I was like 10 or something. And the song was called it was called Si Tu Te Vas by Enrique Iglesias. So most of you guys probably know who that artist is. There was a track he did in the 90s, and there was like a techno remix to it, and that was like that was probably the first song I truly mastered, on the piano. It was fun. It was it was nerve-wracking because I don't perform. Even to this day, I don't perform. But I just love creating, for you guys to hear. Since I had learned the piano, my dad tried teaching me the accordion. The accordion, I guess, taught me a lot about keys. All this stuff stays with you, so it helped me a lot. But I said, all these instruments I'm talking about, it's been very, 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 like, after that I kind of stopped. I stopped for years. When I was in high school, I started to venture back into the creation of sound with music. So I remember going to like this it's like mom and pop shop for like music. I got a little MPC, a little just player, and it was this really like low budget, probably like $25 or like $30, and just kind of start messing with it. Brought it home, hooked it up to a speaker, and just started messing with it, and just and got into the groove. Just kind of, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I really enjoy the idea of making beats. This MPC player was my thing. I loved it. I was probably 15 when I decided to be a DJ, and by far that was probably the funnest the funnest thing I ever did. DJing it's because you control the crowd. Like, you put a track and you mix it, and you just see people vibing out, and you look at how they're dancing, if they're feeling the music, and you control the crowd. And it was cool to have that power just to make them happy. Just no one starts at the top. And until this day, by far I'm nowhere near it. But I will tell you this, and just so you guys know, that everyone starts low. So my first mixer was like, it wasn't even turntables. Like, my first mixer was like this 2 CD disc player with like the fader in the middle, and then I think you could loop, and that was it. You could loop a track and then fade it in and out. And I performed with that. I performed with that at at house parties. I did it with I didn't do it at like big events or anything, but I did it at local house parties. I performed. I loved doing that. So then I was at 15. I remember I told my parents, I was like, I want to get turntables. I want to invest in turntables, and really pursue that. I ended up buying these cool turntables. They were the CDJ 800s or something, and you could do so much with them. You could manipulate the sound so much, and that's what I wanted them. And that's when I got really, really into it. The scratching, all that. Although it wasn't vinyl, it was digital scratching, but it was still like scratching. And it was pretty cool because you could manipulate the sound, you can manipulate the tempo. You could do so much with each track or with each turntable. It allowed me to just get my own style to where you always have to push the envelope in anything. So I was one of those dudes that would like have his. I had the turntable here, and then I had that old mixer I bought when I was 16 in the middle. So sometimes I would put like 4 tracks in one, like from old school like 80s music to like dance music to like the top hits, the top 40. I would do all that, and people would vibe out off of that style because it was unique, it was different. He's mixing like 4 tracks, and it was pretty cool. And that's when I was like, damn, like you could do so much with sound. You could mix different genres, and people can just vibe out off of it. And that was just what took me to the next level. And this is where the story gets interesting, because this is where I was like, I love performing, but it's so much more gratifying to be able to create that sound, because it's your mind, it's your creation. It came from your brain, like, and that's what I was striving for, to just create sound. At 19, I stopped DJing, and really focused on making music. And like I said, no one, and then people can tell you one thing or another, but everyone starts very low budget. I mean, I can tell you, like, my computer was like this old school like computer, and like like I didn't even have monitors. I didn't have monitors. Like, I had headphones that were like so low budget, and I just wanted to mix. And then I had a bass, like a subwoofer that came like free with the computer. I had so many computer crashes that until I was able to finally get a much better upgraded studio. So I ended up getting this program called FL Studio, which was not a very well known program at the time. It was catered to dance music, so I went that route because it's what I loved. It's what resonated with me. I loved dance music. I used the internal plugins, which those of you who know, FL Studio is now it's okay. It's but before it was, oh god, I cringe when I hear the internal plugins it comes with. But the point being is that it got me to where I needed to be. It showed me a lot. I learned a lot from that DAW. I mean, all the technical stuff I learned in that DAW, and I'm very comfortable with that DAW now. And I don't think I could switch to another DAW because I've used it for so long. So I upgraded my studio, like it was a computer, and then I got monitors, and I just got to work. I made at least like 300 beats before I ever released anything, and these are all obviously unreleased beats, unfinished beats, and just me working with different kicks, drums, different snares, different reverbs, different sounds to get that practice in to be able to release a track. And I said I started in 05, and then in 08 I released my first track. I was able to get it to a distributor. To me, I thought it was the best track ever, but I was going for like a ATB sound, that old ATB sound, and I thought it was like the coolest track ever. There was a couple tracks I released, and I had a couple covers. At the time I wasn't singing. I was so self-conscious about my voice, and we all are. Those of you who are singers know that we are our own worst critics and just anything. So I was very self-conscious about my voice. So at the time I wasn't singing. I was just producing, just producing tracks. In 2010, there was I entered this contest that to remix a song "Heartbreak on Vinyl" by Blake Lewis, because I wanted to just see if I could, if I was good enough. And I entered it with no expectations. I I was just trying my hardest just to get a name, to get a sound, to get a style out there. So there was, I forget how many entries, it was a couple hundred entries. And I won. And that boosted my confidence so much because I had this artist and his record label, they all listened to the track and they loved it. Keep in mind, I was not the best at mastering and whatnot. That obviously came later. But point being, it was so gratifying to know that an artist, really, and a team, a label, loved my track, and I won. And it was amazing. It was such a confidence boost, honestly, guys. And I was like, oh man, like, I can probably really do this. I mean, maybe I do have talent, and at the time I still was kind of finding that sound that I wanted to pursue. So after that, I ended up taking on the name, which is now, as this video says, Who is Kimerik Blaze? I took on the name Kimerik Blaze. Obviously, Kimerik Blaze, that's me. I want to express, everything I have to give inside. So what I did is I created this, I guess, style to where I have the positive tracks, the positive uplifting tracks, and I also have the dark tracks that romanticize some things that maybe shouldn't be romanticized, or maybe they should be romanticized because it's so dark, and it can get dark. And that's what I did. I created these tracks that are so dark and so not negative, but just they're in a very dark state of mind. And then I created these tracks that are very positive because I wanted to have that duality where people can understand that we go through phases in life, which positive and negative. And then in 2012, I released my first track, Memories. And that one, honestly, I will tell you now, it was so hard to mix because one thing is to create beats and that's it. But when you create beats and have vocals on top of it, at least for me, because I was a beginner, it was hard to mix because I had won the contest. I had mixed someone else's vocals, but I had never recorded my own vocals and never really understood the technical part of recording vocals and the mastering part and the mixing and all that about it. Point being, I released this first track, and I made the video and the music video to it, and it was fun. I loved it, and that's when I truly felt my sound was getting better and better and better. And like I said, by no means at that time, even now, I feel I'm nowhere where I can be, but it's evolved and changed so much over time, and it's only gotten better. There was a lot of experimentation with my sound because there was like a list of sub-genres that I wanted to do that, there were EDM, but there was like trance, and then there was like house, and then there was like a list of other tracks I wanted to do. In 2015, I upgraded this studio. That's when it truly took my sound to where I feel like it's at now, today, more professional. These monitors are just heaven. You can hear the every little detail within these monitors. So that helps you when you're mixing or you're producing because you want to hear every little sound to either correct it, fix it, or whatnot. 2018 and forward, I can only expect great things. And for those of you who are just getting started, never give up. It takes time to just build that craft, to build that style, to get better. You have to practice and practice and practice and practice. And when you feel you have it, forget about that. Practice and practice and practice more and more and more every single day. Get in that work, and that will get you to where you need to be. Obviously, there's technical stuff where I can go into where I wish people would have told me, when I was starting up, because I learned this on my own. So the knowledge is out there, the information is out there for you to find. You can Google it. There's a ton of stuff to find, but it's much easier when you kind of have this foundation when you start, and to that way you don't spend so much trying to learn. And your craft will change over time. Know that you'll always get better and you'll always evolve. And hearing my first track from '08 to hearing my now track from 2018, it's day and night, and it's completely day and night. So it's amazing to see how I've evolved, and throughout the music, and it's been this last 15 plus 20 years, And that is a backstory about me, about who I am. I said I've been around music my whole life, and I can honestly tell you that I enjoy and I love, and I can talk about this for hours because it's such a passion that I have, with music, because you can just vibe out and jam out and just whatnot with music. And it's such a connection, music connects us all. So I love it, and I will continue to make tracks. And going forward, it is going to be a different style, not as EDM driven, but it will be electronic. I am on all the social networks, and I have the website, which is www.kimerikblaze.com. Yeah, so honestly, if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe to this channel, and there will definitely be more videos along the way.